Hi dear students, good evening to everyone. Welcome to chemistry online classes. I am Virpakshi BP. In last video, we were discussing about isomerism in coordination compounds. This concept is very important for 2 marks. In this concept, just you learn definition and example. Okay. Here, what is isomerism? Here, what is isomerism? When two or more compounds have same molecular formula but the different arrangement of atoms are called isomers, and the phenomenon is called isomerism. Okay, here the classification of isomerism. In last video we have learned the classification of isomerism. Here isomerism mainly classified into two types. One is structural isomerism, the second one is stereoisomerism. Here, the structural isomerism is further classified into 4 types. One is ionization isomerism, hydrate isomerism, linkage isomerism. Next, the fourth one is coordination isomerism. Here, stereoisomerism is also further classified into 2 types. One is geometrical isomerism, the another one is optical isomerism. In last video, we have learned the definitions of ionization isomerism, hydrate isomerism, linkage isomerism, coordination isomerism, and geometrical isomerism. Okay, now let us discuss optical isomerism, and here in geometrical isomerism, let us discuss the geometrical isomerism in octahedral complexes, because in last video we have learned the geometrical isomerism in square planar complexes. Here first let us discuss geometrical isomerism. What is geometrical isomerism? Here two or more complex compounds have same molecular formula and same ligands, but what is the different here? The different geometrical arrangement of ligands. Yes, there is a difference in arrangement of ligands. Here for example, here there are two compounds. This is first compound and this is second compound. See here, these two compounds have same molecular formula. Here there is one metal, and here also there is one metal. This is black color and this metal is also black color. And here there are two green ligands and two blue ligands. Here in second compound also there are two blue ligands and two green ligands. See here, these two complexes have same molecular formula and same types of ligands. But what is the different here? Here the difference is in arrangement of ligands. In first complex, here two green ligands are adjacent to each other. That's why this complex is named as a cis isomer. Next, in second complex, here the two green ligands are opposite to each other. That's why this complex is named as a trans isomer. Okay, that's why geometrical isomerism is also called as a cis trans isomerism. Next, here geometrical isomerism in square planar complexes. Yes, geometrical isomerism is possible in square planar complexes of type of Ma2B2, Ma2BC, and MABCD. Here Ma2B2, that means in this complex M, it is act as metal, and here there are two A types of ligands and there are two B types of ligands. Total in this complex there are two different types of ligands. In second type, the second type of complex is Ma2BC. Here there are two A types of ligands and there is one B type of ligand and there is one C type of ligands. Total three different types of ligands are present. In the third one, MABCD, here four ligands are different. Square planar. Square planar means how many ligands are there? Four ligands are present around the central metal atom. Here four ligands are different. Okay, the geometrical isomerism is possible in square planar complexes of the type Ma2B2, Ma2BC, and MABCD. And here the geometrical isomerism is not possible in square planar complex of type Ma4 and Ma3B. Yes, why it is not possible in this case? Because according to the rule, to show geometrical isomerism, two groups should be different. See here, two ligands should be different, but here four ligands are same. That's why it is not possible. And here also there are three same type of ligand, one different type of ligand. So it is also not possible. Next, these are the examples for Ma2B2 type, Ma2BC type, and it is example for MABCD type. Now just tell me how many isomers are possible for Ma2B2 type. For Ma2B2 type, how many isomers are possible? Two isomers. Name them. One is a cis, another one is a trans. This is very important. Okay, cis means same types of ligands are adjacent to each other. Trans means the same types of ligands are opposite to each other. Next, the second one, Ma2BC type. From this type of complex, how many isomers are possible? Same. From this compound also, two isomers are possible. One is cis, another one is trans. Next, here MABCD type. Here the four ligands are different. There are different four ligands. Okay, from this type of complex, how many isomers are possible? Three types of isomers are possible. Here, out of three, two cis isomers and one is one trans isomer. Two cis isomers, one trans isomer. Totally, how many isomers are possible? Three isomers are possible from MABCD type. Okay. Next, let us discuss geometrical isomerism in octahedral complexes. Here, the geometrical isomerism is possible by octahedral complexes of type Ma2. Actually, it is wrong. Here I am showing. Here, geometrical isomerism is possible in octahedral complexes of type Ma4B2 type. Here, octahedral means how many ligands are there? 6 ligands are present around the central metal atom. So M means central metal atom. Here A4, that means there are 4 A types of ligands. Okay, B2 means there are 2 B type of ligands. So our geometrical isomerism is possible from Ma4 and B2 type of complexes. Okay, next one, geometrical isomerism is possible from Ma2 and BB2 type of complexes. See here, A2 means here, what is A2 here? Here A2 means there are 2 A type of ligands. Okay, BB2, that means there are bidentate ligands. These are bidentate ligands. Bidentate ligands. There are bidentate ligands. Okay, there are two same types of bidentate ligands are present. Next one is Ma3 and B3. Here there are 3 A types of ligands and 3 B types of ligands. So these 3 types of complexes show geometrical isomerism, but Ma6 and Ma5B is not showing geometrical isomerism. Okay. Here example for Ma4B2 type, Ma4 and B2 type. Okay, example here Ma4, that means 4 A type of ligands. There are 2 B type of ligands. Here amine groups. How many amine ligands are there? 4. This is A type. Okay, next Cl2. This is B type. There are how many Cl ions are there? How many chlorido ligands are there? 2 chlorido ligands. Okay, this is amine ligand. Okay, this is which type of complex? This is Ma4B2 type of ligands. Okay, this is chromium is central metal atom. Next here, From this type, how many isomers are possible? From this type, there are two isomers are possible. Okay, from this type of complexes, there are two isomers are possible. One is cis, another one is trans. Okay, cis means the same or identical groups are adjacent to each other. Here see chlorine and here chlorine. These two groups are adjacent to each other. That's why it is cis isomer. And here the chlorines. Here see the chlorine groups are opposite to each other. That's why this is a trans isomer. Next. Next, Ma2 Bb2 type. Here Bb that means bidentate ligands. Bb that means bidentate ligands. Yes, there are two A type of ligands and there are two bidentate ligands. Okay, now this is an example for Ma2 Bb2 type. Here there are two chlorido ligands and there are two En ligands. Here En means it is bidentate ligand. Bidentate ligand. One ethane 1,2 diamine. Okay. Next, this is the example. Here, this is cis and this is trans. See why it is cis? Because here two chlorine groups are adjacent to each other. That's why this is a cis isomer, and here the two chlorido ligands are opposite to each other. So it is a trans isomer. Okay. From Ma2 Bb2 type, how many isomers are possible? Only two isomers are possible. One is cis, another one is trans. Next, yes, the another type of complex is Ma3 and B3. Ma3 and B3. Here, let us discuss about facial and meridional isomerism. Facial and meridional isomerism. Here, this is the another type of geometrical isomerism. This type of isomerism is possible from Ma3 and B3 type of complexes. Okay, this is the octahedral complexes. Why? Because here how many ligands are there? Total 6 ligands are there. So this is octahedral complex. In octahedral complex, facial and meridional isomerism is possible from Ma3 and B3 type of complexes. Here, now let us understand what is facial and what is meridional isomerism. If three donor atoms of same ligand, occupy adjacent position, if they occupy adjacent position at the corner of the octahedral face, then we have to name it as facial isomer. Here, for example is given. Here, this is NH3 and this is NH3 and this is also NH3. Here also see NO2 group and here also NO2 group and here also NO2 group. See here three ligands, three donor atoms or three ligands are adjacent to each other. Three ligands are adjacent to each other. Okay, so this is the facial isomerism. Next, when the positions are around the meridian, if the positions of ligands are around the meridian of the octahedron, then we have to name it as a meridional isomer. Meridional isomerism. Here, for example, here, this is the what? This is upward and this is downward. Here, this is ammonia and this is amine and this is also amine. Here, these three are not on the face. Actually, this is what it is, the face. Three identical groups are present adjacent to each other on the face, but yes, these amine groups are not present adjacent to each other. Okay, these are present on the same plane. Here, this is the amine group and this is amine group and this is also amine group. These three amine groups are present on the plane. This is present on the plane. This is above the plane and this is below the plane. Okay, when the two or more donor atoms are present on the plane, then we have to name it as meridional isomerism. If three identical groups are present on the face, if they are adjacent to each other and they are present on the face, then we have to name it as facial isomerism. Next, let us discuss about optical isomerism. What is optical isomerism? Here, two complexes are mirror images. Yes, two complexes are mirror images of each other, but they are non-superimposable. Are called optical isomers. What is optical isomers? Two complexes are mirror images. They are mirror images of each other, but they are non-superimposable one another. Okay, for example, here this is these two are mirror images to each other. For example, this is the first complex and this is the second complex. See here, when this second complex is placed above the first complex, when the second complex is placed above the first complex, both complexes look the same. Both complexes are looks similar. Okay, there when the second complex is placed above the first complexes, both complexes look same. This is called superimposable. This is superimposable. Now let us understand what is non-superimposable. For example, this is the complex and this is also the mirror image of this complex. This is the first complex and this is the second complex. For example, if this second complex is placed on first complex, if second complex is placed on first complex, these two complexes do not show similar. For example, I will write here. Correct? Here, this is the color. Here, when the second complex is placed on the first complex, these two complexes are not same. These two complexes are not same. This is called non-superimposable. What are optical isomers? Two complexes are mirror images. These are mirror images to each other. And these two complexes are non-superimposable. Those type of complexes are called optical isomers. And also we can call it as enantiomers. Optical isomers are enantiomers. Simple, non-superimposable. That means when the second complex is placed on, if for example this is hand, this is the left hand, this is the right hand. When right hand is placed above the left hand, these two does not look same, right? This is non-superimposable. Okay, this is non-superimposable. For example, see here, this is superimposable. This is superimposable because here these five fingers are exactly placed above the five fingers of left hand. Okay, but in this case here, in this case, these are not superimposable because here this thumb is not exactly placed above the another thumb. Okay, this is non-superimposable and this is superimposable. This is superimposable. Next, the chiral molecules can rotate the plane polarizer light in different directions, but to the same extent. Yes, here the chiral molecules. Stupid. Now let us understand first chiral molecules. What are chiral molecules? Here the molecules are ions that cannot be superimposed are called chiral molecules. Yes, these are non-superimposable. These type of molecules are called chiral molecules. Okay, optical isomers are chiral molecules. Okay, these chiral molecules, they can easily rotate the plane polarized light in different directions. They can easily rotate plane polarized light in different directions. Here, the optical isomerism is common in octahedral complexes involving bidentate ligands. This is very important. Actually, optical isomerism is commonly it is in octahedral complexes having bidentate ligands. Okay. Now here there are two types of substances based on the direction of light. Based on the direction of light, there are two types of substances. For example, here image is there here. I will show. Okay, this is the source of light. This is the source of light. Okay, and here there is a substance. You just take any sample. Here, just let us consider sample. Let us consider sample. Now you pass light. You pass light through the sample. When you pass sample through this light, actually this light is traveling straight. It is traveling straight line. It is traveling in a straight. Okay. When this light is passed to the sample, this is the which type of sample? This is chiral sample. This is a chiral substance. What is the ability of chiral molecule? Here, the chiral molecules, they can change the direction of light. They can rotate the plane polarized light. This is the plane polarized light. They can rotate plane polarized light. Okay. Here, when you pass this plane polarized light through the chiral molecule, these chiral molecules, they rotate the plane polarized light either right side or left side. They rotate the plane polarized light either towards left side or towards right side. Okay. So here, this is the plane polarized light. Okay, this is the plane polarized light. When you pass this plane polarized light through chiral molecule, this plane polarized light will rotate either towards left side or it will rotate towards left side or right side. Okay, based on the direction, there are two types of substances. There are two types of substances. One is a dextro-rotatory substance. The another one is a levo-rotatory substance. Now let us understand what is dextro-rotatory substance. The chiral molecule that rotates plane polarized light towards right side. For example, this is the plane polarized light. Right. This is the plane polarized light. This is straight. This is vertically. When you pass monochromatic light, through sample chiral molecule, this molecule, if it rotates plane polarized light towards right side, then this substance is called dextro-rotatory. Okay. Next, levo-rotatory. If the chiral molecule that rotates the plane polarized light towards left, if it rotates towards left, then these substances are called levo-rotatory substance. Okay, this is, for example, this is here. This is the right side, right? Okay, this is left side. If the substance or chiral molecule rotates plane polarized light towards left side, then it is called as levo-rotatory. If it rotates right side, it is dextro-rotatory substance. Yes, examples are given for octahedral complexes for optical isomerism. So yes, just you practice these examples. The complexes with the formula MAA3. AA means bidentate ligands. Here, this type of complexes show optical isomerism. It is very important. Optical isomerism is possible from MAA3 type of complexes. The another one is optical isomerism is possible from MAA2 BC type of complex. Next, and also optical isomerism is possible from MAA B2C2 type. Say this is octahedral complex, and this is which type of complex? It is square planar complex. And this is what? This is bidentate. That bidentate means 3 into 2. It is also octahedral complex. Okay. Here you have to remember this type. This is the type. This is the formula. Okay. Optical isomerism are possible from these type of complexes. Next, let us discuss about Werner's theory. This is very important for 3 marks. Okay, isomerism is important for 2 marks. There just you learn definition and example. Definition and example. Okay. Next, let us discuss about Werner's theory of coordination compound. This theory is very important for 3 marks. They will ask you to explain postulates of Werner's theory. Now let us discuss postulates of Werner's theory. Here, according to the Werner's theory, the first postulate, in coordination compounds, the metal atom or ion, they show 2 types of valencies. Yes, here I will write, for example, potassium ferrocyanide, CN6. Here, in coordination complexes, this metal show 2 types of valencies. What are the valencies here? One is primary valency and the second one is the secondary valency. Here, primary valency is also equal to oxidation state. Primary valency is also called as oxidation number. Secondary valency is also called as the coordination number. Now let us consider one example here. Here examples are given. So in this coordination complex, now tell me what is the primary valency and what is the secondary valency. Secondary valency is also called as coordination number. So in this, what is the coordination number? 6. So secondary valency is equal to 6. Next, here central metal atom. Now primary valency is also called as oxidation state of platinum, or we can predict on the basis of counter ions also. How many counter ions are there? 4. But mainly we have to focus on oxidation state of metal. Here, what is the oxidation state of metal here? What is the oxidation state? Here, now let us calculate here. X plus 6 into 0. Why? Because amine groups are there. Minus 4 is equal to 0. Next, finally, X is equal to plus 4. This is the primary valency. Okay. According to the Werner's theory, in the coordination compounds, the central metal atoms show 2 types of valencies. One is primary valency. The second one is secondary valency. Primary valency is equal to oxidation state. The secondary valency is equal to coordination number. Okay, next. Primary valencies are ionizable. Yes, here the counter ions. The counter ions are ionizable because here almost the primary valency is equal to counter ions. Okay, because primary valencies are satisfied by counter ions. Here, the primary valencies are ionizable and they are satisfied by negative ions. Yes, they are satisfied by negative ions. Here, primary valency is almost equal to oxidation state. Here, what is the oxidation state? Plus 4. Here, this is the neutral molecule, right? This is the neutral molecule. Here, to balance plus 4, the plus 4, here we have to add 4 chlorido ions. We have to add 4 Cl minus ion. So because when you write 4 Cl minus ion, here the charge is minus 4. This minus 4 and this plus 4 gets cancelled and this total molecule becomes neutral. Okay. This charge here, the primary valencies are satisfied by negative ions. Next, the secondary valency is satisfied by ligands. Yes, secondary valencies are satisfied by ligands. Here ligands, they may be negative ions or they may be neutral ligands. They may be negative ligands or they may be neutral ligands. Okay, this is the third postulate of Werner's theory. Next, primary valency may be variable, but secondary valencies are fixed. Yes, secondary valency means what? Secondary valency is coordination number for one metal. For example, for this metal, the coordination number is fixed. The coordination number is 4, fixed. For this metal, the coordination number is fixed. For example, here platinum. For platinum, here the coordination number, that means secondary valency is fixed, 6. The secondary valency is 6. But oxidation state, that means primary valency, they may change. Here there is a +4. In this complex, there is a +4. In some other compounds, there will be +2. Okay, the primary valencies may variable, but secondary valency of metal is always fixed. Okay, next, the fifth postulate. Primary valency is non-directional. Yes, primary valencies is non-directional, but the secondary valencies are directional. Okay, primary valency is non-directional, secondary valencies are directional. That's why, so the complexes gives different geometrical shapes. Here, the geometrical shape is depending upon the secondary valency. It is depending upon the secondary valency. Here, these secondary valencies are directional. That's why these secondary valencies, they predict the geometrical shape of the complexes. Here, primary valencies, they don't show or they don't give geometrical shape of complexes. Here, the secondary complexes, secondary valencies gives the geometrical shape of complexes. Here is the coordination, because secondary valency is equal to coordination number. If coordination number is 6, then it indicates the complex is octahedral geometry. If secondary valency means coordination number. If coordination number is 4, then it gives tetrahedral geometry. Okay, so here secondary valencies, they predict the geometrical shape of the complexes. These are the postulates of Werner's theory. These postulates are very important for 3 marks. Next, let us discuss about structures based on Werner's theory. So here, according to the Werner's theory, in the structures of complexes, the primary valency is always represented by dotted lines. Yes, the primary valencies are always denoted by dotted lines. Next, the secondary valencies is always represented by solid bond. This is what? This is solid. This is solid, and this is dotted. This is dotted line. This is dotted line. This is solid line. Here, the primary valency is represented by dotted lines. The secondary valency is represented by solid line. Now let us discuss one example here. Here there is a coordination complex is given. In this coordination complex, which is the metal here? This is the metal, right? Cobalt is the metal. And what is the what are the ligands are there? Amine groups are ligands. Okay, these amine groups are ligands. Okay, next, here we know that secondary valency is equal to coordination number. Here how many ligands are there? 6. That's why the coordination number is 6. So secondary valency is equal to 6. If coordination number is 6, then this complex is which shape here? What is the geometrical shape of this complex? Octahedral complex. Why? Because secondary valencies, they can predict the geometrical shape of complex. If coordination number or secondary valency is 6, then the geometrical shape of the complex is octahedral complex. Next, here Cl minus ions. These are the counter ions. These are what? Counter ions. How many counter ions are there? 3. So the primary valency is 3. The primary valency is 3. And also we can predict on the basis of charge on the metal. So what is the charge on the metal here? +3. The charge on the cobalt is +3. So primary valency is 3. Okay, now let us discuss the structure of this compound. Here, this is the structure. This is the metal. For this metal, total how many ligands are attached? 6 ligands. And here ligands are secondary valency, right? So these secondary valencies are represented by solid lines. Here there are 6 amine groups are attached to the central metal atom. Here the bond between ligand means secondary valencies, right? Okay. The bond is represented by solid lines. Next, let us consider, say, a primary valencies. The primary valencies means counter ions. Here, these primary valencies are represented by dotted lines. Okay, this is the structure of complex based on the Werner's theory. Here, just simple primary valencies. That means counter ions are represented by dotted lines. Secondary valencies, that means ligands are represented by solid lines. Next, the second example. The second example is given here. In this case, here this chlorine, here the counter ion is also Cl minus ion, and the ligand is also Cl minus ion. We know that within the square bracket is called the coordination sphere. This is coordination sphere, and these are what? Counter ions. Here the counter ions is Cl minus ion, and in the coordination sphere the ligand, this is what? Ligand. The ligand is also Cl minus ion. In this case, this ion, this Cl minus ion, it satisfies both primary valencies and secondary valencies. Okay. Here, if an ion is present in coordination and ionization sphere, here I am showing, if an ion present in both coordination sphere and ionization sphere, then it is denoted by one is solid and dotted lines. It is denoted by both solid line and dotted lines. Here, because here Cl minus ion is present in both. It is present in the coordination sphere, and also it is present in the ionization sphere. Ionization sphere means counter ions. Here in the structure, this is the central metal atom. There are how many amine groups are there? 5. 5 amine groups are attached to the central metal atom. These bonds are represented by just solid lines. And here how many counter ions are there? 2. So these counter ions are represented by dotted lines. But this ion, this ligand is there now. This ligand is denoted by both solid line and dotted line. Okay, that's why this chlorine satisfies both secondary valencies and primary valencies. This representation, this indicates this ligand is satisfy both primary valency and secondary valencies. Next, let us discuss about limitations of Werner's theory. This theory does not explain how a ligand can satisfy both primary and secondary valencies of central metal ion. Yes, according to the Werner's theory, some ligands which are present in both coordination sphere and ionization sphere, they satisfy both secondary valencies and primary valencies. But he could not explain how the ligand satisfy both primary and secondary valencies. Next, this theory does not offer electronic interpretation of formation of complex ions. Okay, this theory does not explain about formation of complex ions. Next, this theory does not explain magnetic and optical properties of coordination compounds. Yes, this theory does not explain about magnetic and optical properties. These are the limitations of Werner's theory. Next, let us discuss about valence bond theory. Okay, it is also very, very important for 3 marks. Here there are 4 compounds are there. Between these 4 compounds, definitely you will get one compound for 3 marks. Later I will show. Now let us discuss about valence bond theory. First, let us discuss about postulates of valence bond theory. Here the postulates are not important, but in Werner's theory, the postulates are very important for 3 marks. In case of valence bond theory, the postulates are not important. Okay, here examples are very important. I will show later. Just now, first let us discuss postulates of valence bond theory. Very important for 3 marks. The central metal atom or ion provides a definite number of vacant orbitals. Yes, according to the valence bond theory, in the central metal atom, for example, potassium ferrocyanide. Potassium ferrocyanide is there. Here I will write the structure of complex. Here this is the central metal atom. For this central metal atom, 6 ligands are attached. 6 ligands are attached. 6 ligands are attached. See here according to the valence bond theory, this central metal atom, they provide definite number of vacant orbitals. They provide definite vacant orbitals. That means vacant orbitals, we know that central atom, what is the function of central atom here? What is the function of central atom? It accepts a pair of electrons. It accepts a pair of electrons which are donated by ligands. Okay, what is the function of ligands? Ligands always they donate a pair of electrons to the central metal atom to form coordinate covalent bond. Okay, this is the first postulate. The vacant orbitals of central metal atom is equal to its coordination number. Yes, here in the metal, the number of vacant orbitals is equal to number of ligands. If there are 6 ligands are there, then there are 6 vacant orbitals present in the metal. Next, the vacant orbitals undergo hybridization to give hybrid orbitals. Yes, here in the central metal atom, the vacant orbitals there, no? Those vacant orbitals are they undergo hybridization to give hybrid orbitals. Okay, now here this table is very important. Just here let us learn. Based on the hybridization, we can easily predict the geometrical shape of complexes. Here, sp hybridization. If hybridization is sp, that means if vacant orbitals, if these vacant orbitals of metal, if they undergo sp hybridization, then the geometrical shape of the complex is linear. Okay, and here the coordination number is 2. If the vacant orbitals undergo sp2 hybridization, then the geometrical shape of complex is the trigonal planar. Okay, here coordination number is 3. Next, if vacant orbitals undergo sp3 hybridization, then it is what? It is tetrahedral shape. This is tetrahedral shape. Here the coordination number is 4. If vacant orbitals undergo dsp2 hybridization, then here the geometrical shape is square planar, and here the coordination number is 4. If vacant orbitals undergo d2sp3 or sp3d2 hybridization, then the geometrical shape of the complex is octahedral complex. The coordination number is 6. Next, here if vacant orbitals undergo dsp3 or sp3d hybridization, then the geometrical shape of the complex is trigonal bipyramidal shape. Here in this case, the coordination number is 5. Okay, these are the postulates of valence bond theory. This is the third postulate of valence bond theory. Here, according to the first postulate, the central metal atom or ion, they provide definite number, that means fixed number of vacant orbitals. Here in the central metal atom, the vacant orbitals is equal to coordination number. That means the number of vacant orbitals here, number of vacant orbitals, the number of vacant orbitals is equal to number of ligands. Okay, based on the hybridization, we can easily predict geometrical shape. Okay, and these vacant orbitals, they undergo hybridization. Next, let us discuss fourth postulate. According to the fourth postulate, each ligand donates at least one lone pair of electrons. Yes, we know that ligands are, what is the function of ligands? They donate lone pair of electrons to the central metal atom. Okay, next, the hybrid orbitals overlap with the filled orbitals of ligand. Yes, we know that the central metal atom, what is the function of central metal atom? According to the first postulate, the central metal atom, they provide vacant orbitals. They provide vacant orbitals. They provide how many vacant orbitals? They provide the number of vacant orbitals is equal to number of ligands. Okay, and here these vacant orbitals, they undergo hybridization. When they undergo hybridization, they produce hybrid orbitals. These hybrid orbitals, vacant hybrid orbital, this is the vacant, there is no electrons. These vacant hybrid orbitals, it overlap with the filled orbitals of ligand. When these vacant orbitals of metal overlap with the electron filled orbital of ligand, then it forms a metal ligand bond. It gives metal ligand bond. This bond is called a coordinate bond. This is called coordinate bond, ligand metal bond or metal ligand bond. Yes, this is the metal with vacant orbital. This is the vacant orbital. There is no electrons. This is the ligand with lone pair of electrons. Okay, when the vacant orbital of metal is overlapped with the ligand, then it gives coordinate bond between ligand and metal. Next, the sixth postulate, this is important. If n minus 1d orbitals, of metal are involved in hybridization, then this complex is called the inner orbital complex, or we can call it the low spin complex. This is very, very important. Inner orbital complex, or we can call it as the low spin complex. N, for example, here I will show. Don't worry. Here I will show. See here, this is 2s, next 2p, and this is 3d, next 4s and 4p and 4d. See here, 3d, it is inner orbital. This is inner orbital. This is n minus 1d orbital. This is outer orbital. This is the electronic configuration. This is the outer orbital. This is n. If inner electrons are involved in the hybridization, then such complexes are called inner orbital complexes. If the inner orbital electrons are involved in the hybridization, then those complexes are called inner orbital complexes. And the inner orbital complexes are called low spin complexes. If outer orbital complexes, for example, in this electronic configuration, which is the outer orbital, which is the outermost orbital here, 4d. If 4d electrons are involved in the hybridization, then these type of complexes are called outer complex, outer orbital complex. Okay, outer orbital complexes. Next, this is very important. Okay, don't worry, you will understand while we're discussing examples. Next, the strong ligands. Okay, here the strong ligands are amine, carbonyl, and the Cn minus, cyanide ion. These three are strong ligands. These strong ligands, they make unpaired electrons as paired. Here, for example, this is the unpaired electrons. Here there are unpaired electrons. Unpaired electrons means you know that you know about unpaired electron. Unpaired electron means single electron. For example, here this is amine. The amine is a strong ligand. This is a strong ligand. When strong ligand it approaches metal, this is the vacant orbital in the metal. When the strong ligand approaches metal, here what happens? These unpaired electrons get paired up. They get paired up. Okay. That means they get paired up. That means this electron, it is shifted to this orbital. When it is shifted to this orbital, then this orbital having two electrons. This is paired electrons. Okay. In case of weak ligands, weak ligands means water, Cl minus, F minus, Br minus, I minus, they cannot pair up the electron. For example, say here I will show, this is the metal. This is the metal. In metal there are unpaired electron. These are the unpaired electron. Now here there is a amine. This is strong ligand, and here there is a water. This is a weak ligand. If a strong ligand is approaching the metal, if strong ligand is present in the complex, here these two electrons get paired up. Okay, they get paired up. That means this unpaired electron will shifted to this orbital, and both electrons becomes paired up. But in case of water, if water ligands are present, then here these electrons do not get pair up. The unpaired electrons remain as unpaired electrons only. They don't get pair. They will not pair up. Okay. This is the seventh postulate. Next, the unpaired electrons present in the central metal atom can show paramagnetic, and the paired electrons show diamagnetic complex. Yes, based on the unpaired electrons, we can easily predict whether the complex is paramagnetic or diamagnetic. Okay, for example, here I will write, here this is the metal. In this metal, I will write electrons. Okay. Now tell me, this is the metal. In this metal, is there unpaired electrons? That unpaired electrons means single electron. Is there single electrons? Yes, there are two single electrons. That's why if unpaired electron, that means if single electrons are present, then this complex, this compound is called paramagnetic complex or paramagnetic substance. Okay. For another example, this is also metal. Yes, I will show. Now tell me, in this complex, is there any unpaired electron? Is there single electrons? There are no single electrons. That's why this complex is called a diamagnetic complex. Diamagnetic complex means what? If there is no unpaired electron, then that complex is called a diamagnetic complex. If there is an unpaired electron, then that is paramagnetic complex. These are the postulates of valence bond theory. Now let us discuss valence bond theory with example. These examples are very, very important. Only 4 examples are given in NCERT. Just between these 4 examples only, you will get one question per board exam. Definitely you will get one question in board exam. Definitely will get. Okay, the first one. Definitely will get for 3 marks. Definitely will get between these 4. The first one, the question they will ask like this: give the geometry, hybridization, magnetic property of this compound based on the VBT. This is what is the name of this compound? Hexaamine cobalt. Hexaamine cobalt. For this complex, you have to predict geometry 1 mark, hybridization 1 mark, magnetic property 1 mark. If you predict geometry, hybridization, magnetic property, then you will get 3 marks. Okay. First we have to write metal. Which metal is present in this complex? Cobalt. Here cobalt. Now you write atomic number. Z means atomic number. The atomic number is 27. Now let us write electronic configuration. Already you know how to write electronic configuration. Argon 3d7 and 4s2 4p0. But this is the electronic configuration of neutral cobalt. But in this complex, the oxidation state of cobalt is +3. Now, we have learned how to calculate oxidation number of central metal atoms. Here, the oxidation state of central metal atom is +3. So now let us write electronic configuration for cobalt +3 ion. Cobalt +3 ion. This is neutral molecule. This is ion. Now let us write electronic configuration for say cobalt +3. Okay, argon. Next 3d6 and 4s 0 and 4p 0. Why? Because +3. +3 that indicates how many electrons are less in the metal. 3 electrons are less in the metal. That's why here just you remove these 2 electrons and you remove 1 electron from 3d orbital. First you remove 2 electrons from 4s orbital. Next you remove 1 electron from 3d. Total 3 electrons are removed. Okay, when you remove 3 electrons, the electronic configuration of CO3 plus ion becomes 3d6, 4s0, 4p0. Now tell me, in 3d orbital, how many electrons are there? 6. Now let us write the orbital structure here. We know that in 3d, in d orbital, how many suborbitals are there? 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let us write electrons here. How many electrons are there? 6 electrons. You just fill here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I will write 2, 3. Total there are 5 orbitals, right? Just you fill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And next 6 electrons. Total 6 electrons. Next in 4s there is no electrons, so empty. In 4p there is no electrons. Next, when amine ligand, here which type of ligand is there? Amine ligand. Amine ligand is strong ligand or it is weak ligand? It is a strong ligand. So when amine ligand attacks the central metal ion, then what happens? We know that when strong ligands are present, the unpaired electrons get paired up, right? The pairing of electrons in 3d orbital occurs against Hund's rule. Okay, so here what happens? These unpaired electrons get paired up. Why these unpaired electrons get paired up? Because in this complex there is a strong ligand. So after pairing up the electrons, you will get this type of structure. Now, metal, it has to provide vacant orbitals, right? Metal, according to the postulates of valence bond theory, metal has to provide vacant orbitals. How many vacant orbitals it has to provide? The number of vacant orbitals should be equal to coordination number. Here, what is the coordination number? 6. That means it has to provide 6 vacant orbitals. So here what happens? In the metal, 2 3d orbitals, 1 4s orbital and 3 p orbitals undergo hybridization. So this complex is which type of hybridization? D2 and sp3 hybridization. Why? Because 2 d orbitals, 1 s orbital and 3 p orbitals undergo hybridization. Which type of hybridization it is? D2 sp3 hybridization. Next, D2 sp3 hybridization. This is the hybridization. Based on the hybridization, you can predict the geometrical shape. Now tell me, if hybridization is D2 sp3, then what is the geometrical shape here? What is the geometrical shape? This octahedral. This is octahedral. In the postulate, there is a tabular column. No? In tabular column, there is a given octahedral complex. Now tell me whether this complex is paramagnetic or diamagnetic, because he is asking predict magnetic property. You have to predict magnetic property. Now tell me, in this complex, in this structure, after the ligand approaching the metal, this structure becomes this like this. That means here the electrons get paired up. Now in this metal, is there unpaired electron? There is no unpaired electron. So if there is no unpaired electron, then this is which type of magnetic property is diamagnetic property. That means it is diamagnetic substance. Okay, only these three things. One is hybridization, geometrical shape, and whether it is diamagnetic or paramagnetic. Okay, now let us write whether it is inner orbital complex or outer orbital complex. Here 4d orbitals, the 4d electrons are not participated in the hybridization. Here which electrons are participated? 3d electrons are participated, right? 3d electrons. Here this is inner, this is the outer. So inner orbital complex. Okay, similarly we can easily predict hybridization, geometrical shape, and magnetic property in given complexes. So here also same: cobalt, oxidation, atomic number, electronic configuration. Next, in this complex also, the oxidation state of cobalt is +3. Oxidation state of cobalt is +3. So you remove 3 electrons from this electronic configuration. When you remove electrons from this electronic configuration, then electronic configuration becomes argon 3d6, 4s0, 4p0, 4d0. Okay, next say you write electronic configuration. Next, here it undergo which hybridization? It undergo sp3d2 hybridization. Here why it undergo sp3d2 hybridization? Because F minus ligand. Now tell me, here F minus ligand is a weak ligand or strong ligand? It is a weak ligand. Due to weak ligand, these electrons, these unpaired electrons, they do not get paired up. If these unpaired electrons are not paired up, then here in hybridization, outer 4d orbitals involved in hybridization. Total how many vacant orbitals has to provide here? 6. One is 4s, 3 4p orbitals. Next 2 4d orbitals. Total 1 s orbital, 3 p orbital, 2 d orbitals. They undergo hybridization. That's why the hybridization is sp3d2. Now tell me, then what is the shape? What is the geometrical shape of this complex? Octahedral complex. Okay. Next, now tell me whether it is paramagnetic or diamagnetic. See here in this electronic configuration, is there unpaired electron? Is there unpaired electron? Yes. There are how many unpaired electrons? This is 1, this is 2, 3, 4. Total there are 4 unpaired electrons are there. That's why it is paramagnetic or diamagnetic. It is paramagnetic substance. Okay, the first one is hybridization. What is the hybridization here? What is the hybridization? sp3d2. Next, shape, octahedral geometry. Next, magnetic properties, paramagnetic. Next, let us predict whether it is outer orbital complex or inner orbital complex. See here 3d orbital electrons are not involved. 3d orbital electrons are not involved in the hybridization. Here 4d orbitals are involved in the hybridization. That's why it is outer orbital complex. Okay, similarly, you just predict hybridization, geometry, and magnetic property of this compound. Okay, same, just you write electronic configuration, atomic number. Next, depending upon the type of ligand. If it is strong ligand, here the unpaired electrons get pair up. If unpaired electrons get pair up, then these orbitals will involve in the hybridization. If unpaired electrons does not pair up, then the outer orbitals will involve in the hybridization. Okay, based on the hybridization, we can easily predict geometrical shape. Next, this is also another example. Between these four examples, definitely you will get one example for 3 marks. Okay, in next class. Okay, now let us discuss limitations of VBT. Here, this theory does not differentiate between weak and strong ligand. Yes, This theory just explained strong ligands and weak ligands, but he could not explain what is the difference between strong ligand and weak ligand. Next, this theory does not explain thermodynamic and kinetic stability of compounds. Yes, he explained magnetic property, hybridization, and geometrical shape, but this theory could not explain thermodynamic and kinetic stability of compounds. Next, this theory does not explain color of the complexes. Yes, this theory could not predict the color of the complex compounds. Next, the fourth limitation, this theory does not make exact predictions between tetrahedral and square planar structures of four coordinate complexes. Okay, he could not explain properly about tetrahedral and square planar structures. These are the limitations of VBT. In next class, let us discuss about crystal field theory. Here in the crystal field theory, here the structures are there. There are two structures. These two structures are very important for 2 marks. We will explain in next class. Thank you all.